tāwhiri mātea, I whakapūria ta awa hoko o te whenua Pākihi Waitaha e. A tēnei te ruru te kaukau mai nei ki hai mā whiti ki hai mā rakaraka. Tūpoko nui o te ruru te riko, he pō, he ao, kāwatea, a tihei mauri ora. A te mihi tuatahi mihi ki nā atua kaharawa. Ko raki etu iho nei, ko papatuanuku e takato. Ko tāne, ko kahukura ki uta. Ko takaroa, ko marukura ki tai. A tēnei nā mihi nā atua. A ho mai o kaha, ho mai o aroha ki a mātou I tēnei wā. A I nā wā katoho. Anō reira nā atua tēnā koutou. A ka huri au taku whakaaro ki nā tini aitua ko wehe atu ki te pō. A e nā mate, o ia marae, o ia takiwā, o ia hāpore, I tēnei wā, I roto I te mate karauna, a moe mai, oki mai. A apati hono, tātai hono, toka mati ki tōka mate, apati hono, tātai hono. A te honga ora, nā kānuhi ora, ko tai mai nei I tēnei rā a māhana, I tēnei rā a tāhua, a tēnā koutou, a tēnā koutou. A koutou mā ka hui mai nei, ai tēnei wāhi a tāhua, wāhi whakahirahira. Ka hui I te whakanui o tēnei wāhi. Ai, he whakatau a te ingoa hau o tēnei wāhi. Hei whakamana te whenua nei, a tēnā koutou. Nau mai, hara mai, tauti mai. Kia koutou nā whanaunga o Ngāi Tahu hiki, kia Liz, Uncle Liz, ka hara mai te kai tautoko o tēnei rā kia, tēnei te mihi kia koutou, ka hara mai ki te tautoko te kaupapa o tēnei rā, a tēnā koutou. Ai, kia koutou katoa, nā hoa o te Ara Kākāriki, ko hui mai nei ki te tautoko te rā, te kaupapa o te rā, tēnā koutou. Ki te kaimahi o te Papa Atawhai, Abby, tēnā koe, nau mai, hara mai, kei wainganui I a mātou I tēnei rā, tēnā koe. Kia Pam, Pete, tō whānau, ai, ka nui te mihi ki a koutou, mō koutou mahi I tēnei whenua. Ai, mō tō wauata I tēnei whenua, ka tupu nā rākau mai te whenua ki te rangi. Ai, tēnei te mihi ki a koe, ki a kōrua, ki a koutou. Ai, anō reira, koutou mā, ai tēnā koutou. So I'm just going to whakamarama, translate a little bit, best I can, about what I've just said. And basically at the moment we're just going to have like a little whakatau, like we're just settling in this morning into this space, into this time. And first of all, just acknowledged, actually it's an old tauparapara that comes from our tupuna at Te Waihora, which talks about the tides actually out on the coast there, which is sort of part of this takiwā, banging against Kaitariki Spit, and then also the winds of Tāwhiri Mātea blowing and in the process cleansing our rivers up here, our snow-fed rivers, the Waimakariri in particular, beside us, and the Rakaya over that way, and cleansing the plains of Canterbury, ka Pākihi whakateketeko Waitaha. And then I just went into another one about our Te Rūru, an owl, the native owl, which in our traditions is seen as like a bit of a watcher over of people, and the little tauparapara there is about a call to action and a call to stand. So yeah, and I thought that's appropriate because we're sort of here to do something different. And then I just acknowledged the gods of our creation, and also of anyone's creation in fact, and also then those who have gone before us, those who have passed away, and then came back to acknowledging all of us here today. And in particular just wanted to acknowledge Liz and Uncle Les here from Taumutu, from Ngāi Tahu, the hapu with mana whenua in this area, in this takiwā, and also Kia, who's our new General Manager at Te Rūnanga. I think that's the right term. Important person anyway, for our Rūnanga. It's great to have Liz, Kia and Uncle Les here today to be with us, and obviously you'll know that we've had a bit of a process of a request from Te Ara Kākāriki for a name for our 2 legacy sites, and that's been done, so we're sort of here to acknowledge that. We've got Te Pai or Ahuriri down at where we planted on Saturday, and that Uncle Les and I went out the other week and sort of dedicated that site and planted another tōtara down there, so that's pretty cool. And also acknowledged all those that are gathered here today, all of our great people from Te Ara Kākāriki, Abby from DOC, and also lastly to Pam and Pete and your family, just acknowledging you guys for what you've been doing, your work here. It's great, Tom. That's a long one here. So yeah, just acknowledging Pam and your family. This is your land, as we know, in the modern times, and I'm sure a feature like this in the landscape wouldn't have gone unnoticed by our tupuna as they travel through here. You know, this is a place obviously where we're accessing up into the Waimakiri Basin and over into the Taipotini. We've also got the Waikirikiri not far over that way, Kākapotahi, the Melbourne Hills just beside us. So I'm sure that this is a place where our tupuna stroll through, and the name that the Rūnanga has looked at, which we'll talk about later, does relate to some of the traditional places that we know in this vicinity. So, but just want to acknowledge you and your family for the work you've done, and for the gesture that you're doing by replanting this amazing feature and your land. And I know you've got plans to allow people to visit that, so that's awesome. So I just want to acknowledge you guys for what you've been doing, your vision, even before we met and before you became a part of Te Ara Kākāriki. So, but it's great that we're all able to be here today. So that was really me just opening up.
Kia ora, my name's Zach. I am 12 years old and I like trees.
Tātou katoa, ka ozi te koingo whāra, ko tōnis ti manga, ko Waimakiri te ara, ko Tariri te whira na Springfield ahau. Ko Ngāi Tahu ingoa, ko Peter tiki papa, ko Anne tiki mama, te katoa te tātou katoa.
My name is Peter, and this is my wife Pam and our sons Zach and Noah. It's an honour to welcome you here today to receive your gift of the name and the blessing for this land. We moved here about 12 years ago and started planting that same year. We have planted a little bit more each year and have really enjoyed seeing the trees grow and the birds return. We are passionate about nature and we see many more years of planting ahead of us. When we started planting, we quickly realised how it takes but a moment to destroy and a lifetime to rebuild, and that it is only through working together and helping one another that we can achieve replanting goals on a scale like this site. We do not consider ourselves the owners of the land, but simply the people who have the privilege of being the land's current custodians. This land was here long before us and will be here long after we are gone. Our dream has long been to return this land back to an area that is teeming with life, full of native trees and birds that can be enjoyed by all. I'd like to acknowledge the generations who have enjoyed the land, the use of this land in the past, and the people whose ideas, dreams and tireless work has made today possible, and hope that it will inspire future generations to work with nature and give back as much as is taken. Thank you.
I'm from Te Rūnanga. It's unfortunate in this week be Te Māori. I was one of the lost generation who wasn't allowed to speak Māori or even be Māori. Now it's encouraging to see a young one here coming through and speaking to I'm really proud that these younger people are coming through and doing it. As I said, I was one of the lost generation. I'm part of this group through two reasons. I'm there with the being part of Tamutu, but also part of the Christchurch West Melton Water Zone Committee, and that's one of my main functions of being on this group. And I've been one of the longest been on that group now, and I'm the co-chair there. So it's really inspiring to see all this planting work being done in the rohe, and it all protects our waterways. So get your neighbours to come on board as well. There's one standing there. Kia ora.
So ko te ingoa o ingoa hau o tēnei whenua ko Ōkakaraiti. So Ōkakaraiti is the name that Ngāi Tahu Ngāti Moki have come up with for this whenua, and in a moment I'll get Liz to talk about sort of story behind that, just a little story as it relates to some of the places around here. So yeah, pretty awesome. We had a sort of hui recently. We've got our naming committee that we've got, like Liz said, we've been doing a lot of that with all the schools and also with Selwyn District and Christchurch City over the years. So we've got a pretty good process of how we do it, get all our good minds together and think about what it means, what the project is, how we can relate it to something that we value. Like we said with the schools, we're trying to encourage them with the rākau Māori, the native trees, and just bring that knowledge back into our community. So this is just another step. We've not really named a wonderful landscape feature like a moraine before, but it's pretty cool to do that. And of course, back in the day, this is what our tupuna would do naturally anyway. Come to a place, and when they arrived here, in our different strands of our people, our different people arrived over time, and they brought with them their knowledge and their whakaaro about the place, and they added a layer of names to the landscape. And so in Ngāi Tahu we have Waitaha, Ngāti Māmoe and Ngāi Tahu, three different tribal strands, and they all have different time periods that they arrived here in Te Waipounamu, and of course there is different names. Sometimes there's multiple names for one place. So what we're doing now is just a continuation of what our tupuna did, really, looking at a landscape feature, looking at a place and ascribing it a value really that we see. And so that's great, and it's awesome that Pam and whānau were open to that. And of course the locals have a name for the hill, Broom Hill, so that doesn't disappear, that stays as well. But this is just another layer that we can provide on top, and gives a nice symbol for the place. So that's what it is.
Kia ora. So yeah, as Craig said, we like to name and claim, so that is part of our whakapapa that we've done from time memorial. So today we're naming and claiming in conjunction with you. And so early manuscripts locate a permanent pa, a settlement close to this site. The name of that settlement was Ara Kākāriki, Ōkakaraiti. In 1880, or Hene Kākāriki was recorded as a mahinga kai site, producing amongst other things turnips, potatoes, aruhi fern roots, weka, kaka, koko, and tuna, eels. The name Ōkakaraiti is a contracted version of the name of the pā. The full name has not been used because that still remains with the original settlement. The name pays homage to the ancestors who walked this land before us and celebrates the new life to Ara Kākāriki will generate upon and within the whenua. And so we've also gifted you a whakatauki as well. Mate atu te kura, ara mai he te kura. When a fern frond dies, another rises to take its place. And this whakatauki reminds us of our interconnectivity, our relationship with each other, our ancestors and our whenua. It also reminds us of our responsibilities to prepare the legacy for the following generations. And that touches really nicely on what you were talking about before, that you have your vision, but your boys have got an even bigger vision as well. And so that's that legacy of vision being passed on as well. So, kia ora.
So the pā that was mentioned, or Hene Kākāriki, is at the mouth of the Kōwai River here. So not far, and it's nice that we can actually see the Kōwai River just dropping off on the east there with the massive carpet down there. So that's where that site was originally, and that's why we've picked that up. Because that's not really talked about much down there, we thought let's bring that sort of flavour of that story and those people back here. So that's what this committee tried to do. So yeah, and awesome to have that the whakatauki there about the fern frond. So we'll have to learn that one and remember that one down in your whānau, because that could be your little thing as well. So that's awesome. He tino pai rau atu te rā nei, te whakaaro o ngā tangata kua hui hui mai nei. He a tāhua te hiwi nei, he a tāhua te whenua nei. Ōkakaraiti te ingoa hau, Ōkakaraiti te mana, tēnā tātou katoa. So I just wanted to acknowledge everyone's words, thoughts and the feeling that we've got here today, and that hopefully the name we can use and uphold, and all the values that we've talked about today can stand. So good day. Ngā mihi nui anō kia koutou, mō koutou tautoko I tēnei rā. He rā whakanui o tēnei whenua, o tēnei whānau, o te hapu nei. Tēnei te mihi kia koutou, so just acknowledging everyone again for an awesome morning and a great thing that's happened here today. Acknowledgements to the Rūnanga, to the hapu for their support, like Pam said, to come on board and help with the process and get the name on the whenua, but of course all the wider work the Rūnanga does as well. To the whānau again, Pam, Peter, Noah and Zach. Tēnei te mihi kia koutou, tēnei te mihi nui, tēnei te mihi māhana mō koutou mahi, mō koutou wawata. So just acknowledging you guys again, and for all the support today, thanks so much, and all the work that's gone into it. He karakia mō tēnei o ēnei rākau, kumihia, rapuhia, whaia te uru tapu nui a tānei. Kia wā, aroha mai. Puta ki te whae ao ki te ao marama. Tū te kana, tū te maraka, te tūhi, te rārama. E roko e te matāra nei, e roko whakeiri aki ki roka ki a tīna, haumi e, hui e, tāki.